Matthew 14:1-36. Matthew 14:1. At that time, Herod, the Tetrarch, heard the report concerning Jesus. Matthew 14:2. And said to his servants, This is John the Baptizer. He is risen from the dead. That is why these powers work in him. Matthew 14:3. For Herod had laid hold of John, and bound him, and put him in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife. Matthew 14:4. For John said to him, It is not lawful for you to have her. Matthew 14:5. When he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet. Matthew 14:6. But when Herod's birthday came, the daughter of Herodias danced in the midst, and pleased Herod. Matthew 14:7. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatever she should ask. Matthew 14:8. She, being put forward by her mother, said, Give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptizer. Matthew 14:9. The king was grieved, but for the sake of his oaths, and of those who sat at the table with him, he commanded it to be given. Matthew 14:10. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison. Matthew 14:11. His head was brought on a platter, and given to the young lady, and she brought it to her mother. Matthew 14:12. His disciples came, and took up the body, and buried it, and they went and told Jesus. Matthew 14:13. Now when Jesus heard this, he withdrew from there in a boat, to a desert place apart. When the multitudes heard it, they followed him on foot from the cities. Matthew 14:14. Jesus went out, and he saw a great multitude. He had compassion on them, and healed their sick. Matthew 14:15. When evening had come, his disciples came to him, saying, The place is a desert, and the time is already past. Send the multitudes away, that they may go into the villages, and buy themselves food. Matthew 14:16. But Jesus said to them, They don't need to go away. You give them something to eat. Matthew 14:17. They told him, We only have here 5 loaves and 2 fish. Matthew 14:18. He said, Bring them here to me. Matthew 14:19. He commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass, and he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed, broke and gave the loaves to the disciples, and the disciples to the multitudes. Matthew 14:20. They all ate, and were filled. They took up 12 baskets full of that which remained left over from the broken pieces. Matthew 14:21. Those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Matthew 14:22. Immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat, and to go ahead of him to the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. Matthew 14:23. After he had sent the multitudes away, he went up into the mountain apart to pray. When evening had come, he was there alone. Matthew 14:24. But the boat was now in the midst of the sea, distressed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Matthew 14:25. In the 4th watch of the night Jesus came to them, walking on the sea. Matthew 14:26. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a ghost," and they cried out for fear. Matthew 14:27. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Cheer up. I am. Don't be afraid." Matthew 14:28. Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the waters." Matthew 14:29. He said, "Come." Peter went down from the boat and walked on the waters to come to Jesus. Matthew 14:30. But when he saw that the wind was strong, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Lord, save me." Matthew 14:31. Immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand, and took hold of him, and said to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Matthew 14:32. When they got up into the boat, the wind ceased. Matthew 14:33. Those who were in the boat came and worshipped him, saying, "You are truly the Son of God." Matthew 14:34. When they had crossed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret. Matthew 14:35. When the men of that place recognized him, they sent into all that region round about, and brought to him all who were sick. Matthew 14:36. And they begged him that they might only touch the fringe of his garment. As many as touched it were made whole.